Hello there, fishing misfits. I have a new update for the boat, and I wanted to show you some things that I've done. Okay, I had on here a Minn Kota Edge hand steer on the bow, and I, it was fine, but anchoring was a real problem for me. It was a pain in the neck, especially on electric-only lakes. So what I did was I replaced that with the Minn Kota Terrova iPilot with the anchoring system where you just hit a button on the remote and you anchor. And I got the 55-pound thrust, 54-inch, because this is a deep V boat, and so I thought I needed that little bit extra. And I installed it a couple days ago. I have not put it on yet as far as in the water. I installed the puck, and now I know there's issues about do I have it too close? Is the magnetic compass going to be affected by it? To be honest with you, I don't know for sure. I guess we'll find out. I didn't cut any wires, so I have plenty if I have to run it. If something seems funny, I'll just move it back maybe by the console of the boat. I wanted to show you a couple things that I've done though to enhance this. Now, as everyone might know if they're thinking about buying these, if you mount your transducer down here, there's a couple different ways guys on the internet have figured out to make it safer, because when this thing anchors, it comes down and it's spinning around. This head is spinning around like 360s and everything. If you got a wire coming up here and you try to bypass, especially this thing, okay, it will probably break your cable. And guys are trying to figure out, how do I do it? Some of them take this all apart and they run the cabling for the transducer in this groove. Well, I didn't want to really take it apart, so I left that alone. Some guys have used big, thick cable locks that are coiled, and they run the cable lock to this side of the motor, and then when the thing is spinning, I guess that cable lock protects the wiring. You know, you'll wrap it around the cable lock, and you have enough slack apparently that it works where you don't have issues with it breaking. Well, I went a different route. I didn't want to go through all that. I figured, you know what? I decided I was going to mount the fish finder. When this is deployed, this will go into position. And that's a Garmin with down imaging, whatever you call it, I'm not sure. But it has a couple nice features. Doesn't has a little bit of mapping in it, but nothing fancy. And I didn't want to just not use it. It's too nice. Christmas present from my kids, and I just decided this is a better thing to do. So I'm going to show you exactly what I've come up with. Okay, what I've done is I mounted a fish rod holder, and I mounted it downward, and I made myself a custom PVC pipe that I mounted the transducer down here, and it's hard to show on this now because obviously it's not in the water, but basically it's going to hang off the side of the boat only when in use. I'm going to have the power cable and this cable going to the unit, and I have extra wire. I could always, you know, shorten it if I need to, or whatever I need to do to get it right where it works best. It's right now it's trial and error because I haven't actually deployed this either. So until I actually get on the boat, find out how it works. But this thing locks in, so it's not going to come out. Now I may do a safety, like something safety in here, just in case some goofy thing happens. I don't want to lose this. So that's one thing I'm going to probably do. And another thing that I saw on the internet from I believe it's Maine Trout Whisperer. The guy has a nice channel, and he has a boat very, very similar to mine. So I'm going to give him a shout out. This is his idea. I just copied it. And to be honest with you, for this kind of boat, this is a 16.5-foot deep V low. He came up with this idea, and I basically copied it. This is a rubber thing that holds a shaft that you can lock it in. It has like these, like a strap that goes over top. The rest of this is PVC. So I got a cap, a threaded section. This is 1-inch PVC. And it comes down to another cap. And then this is a 2x4 brace, I guess, for construction work. I bent down the tab like he did to stick it in between here, and I screwed it down. And what'll happen, and I'll try to do this one-handed, is once I release this thing will swing down, because this will give it support. So when you're going down the road, it won't hopefully bounce around too much. It's just added support. And then this thing can be released, lays down nice and flat up against the side of the boat. Hopefully you get out of you won't be hitting it with your feet, at least not too often. This thing swings up and down so that you can keep it on the boat and deploy it. And then when you're ready to go back to where you are, you just bring this up, get it in place, and strap down the thing. And then there you go. Now, I'll be honest with you, this is off just a hair on the inside. You can see it might be slanted a little bit, but it's all about positioning of this motor on this front. This is probably the hardest part, because if you can see, they don't want you to have the head of the motor, that part up there. I guess that's the head, whatever that is, the GPS unit. Because if it's out too far and you hit a dock or something, you're going to scratch it all up, maybe break it. It's plastic. So you got to make sure it's in a little bit from the rim of the boat. And as you can see, I'm about right there. I'm about right there. Okay, so I'm close to being right about where I would need to be safe. Okay, now what that'll do is that cuts down, if you don't deploy this thing, it cuts down a little bit on the actual deck space of the boat. But if you swing it out too far, well, then you're going to risk damaging that head. Okay, and I didn't want to do that. So yeah, it's my support is a little bit cockeyed there. It seems to be pretty solid, and to be honest with you, it cost me $10. Two of those black things on top was under $10 from Amazon, so I got an extra one in case I want to do this again for somebody else or maybe me, I don't know. But the rest of that PVC I had, because a lot of that stuff I came from this piece. I had a big long stick because I didn't know how to do it, and I had extra. So I just cut it to make it work. And this unit has to be about 1.5 inches or so from here. So I'm good. I'm at least a good solid inch or so from the edge of this boat. So I shouldn't have an issue with this thing interfering with the way it deploys. I was lucky in the fact that this rail here and the carpeting or the plywood deck was pretty even. Now, having said that, I have a little bit of an issue with this thing because this is a little bit high, but it does get a little bit thinner right here. So as it's coming across, now they give you rubber washers. I stuck the rubber washers underneath here, and I used them to kind of balance it out. Unfortunately, I got 2 on this side and 2 on the other side, and they give you 6 possible locations. I didn't want to re-drill anything in, like in the framing of it or anything like that. This thing is really freaking solid. I cannot imagine I'll have an issue. But then again, dumb things happen. So I think I'm pretty happy overall. The anchoring system I have on this boat works absolutely nicely for the river or even lakes. But when you have to, like I'll run the electric motor from the back on a lot of places because you can't use big motor. And when I get to a location, I'll drop the anchor. And it's just a pain in the neck, It works fantastic. It really does. It's great for the river though, or places where you're just going to anchor for a long, long time and don't want to run this power. Now I'm probably going to upgrade batteries. This is a 12 volt. I'm going to buy 2 new 12 volt batteries and run them in, I don't know if it's series or parallel. I really don't know. What I want to do is increase the length of time that the batteries are good. What's nice about this motor, and I'll show you from this side, is it does have a power button and it also has a battery meter. So you can obviously see where you're at as far as the power goes. But I decided that when I bought this boat, the deep cycle battery, it had 2 batteries, a starting battery and a deep cycle. I don't know how old that deep cycle is. That basically runs all the electronics on the boat. I'm just going to buy 2 new batteries, save the other more used battery that came with the boat for a canoe project I'm working on with my son Matthew. And I got a deep cycle battery, and I got this boat for the kicker motor in the back, the 50 pounder. And what I'll do is I'll try to get 2 batteries on one compartment, 2 batteries on one compartment and one where the original battery is now. And that way it'll give me a little bit of extra juice, I think, and it'll last longer. But that's the game plan for this. If you decide you want to buy a motor like this, to me, from what I've heard, my brother has one. He's been on the video. He's one of the fishing misfits down in Lake Conroe living. He has a motor like this for his pontoon boat, 80-pound thrust, and it works great for him. He doesn't have to really think too much about what he's doing. He just sets the anchor point, boom, he goes. And I didn't get the foot pedal, and the reason is because I'm not a big fan of foot pedals. I just don't seem to work them real well. So that's why I went to the hand steer last time. So, but with this, I figured the little remote keypad they give you, I could sit in the back of the boat. I could sit at the console and watch my big graph and just steer the boat from wherever and just watch stuff. And if I see something I like, I could just put a marker point down on the big graph, and I could put anchor down on this thing, and I can just fish that spot, and I don't have to like hop out of my seat and put the regular rope anchor down, all that stuff. I got a good price on this. This is from eBay. It was $11.60, and with tax and I think, what else? I think it was with tax and stuff. It was like $12.60, something like that. But it was cheaper than I could have got. I could have bought it from like Cabela's or whatever. So to me, it's worth the opportunity, and I'm hoping that this thing here turns out to be a good idea. I think it is, and it's, of course, what I'll do is I'll just remove it. I'll just take this guy off, just like this. I'll take it off, leave it in the boat. I could put it in the rod locker. Shouldn't take up too much space. This can also come off. Hold on a sec. This here can also come off just by that simple pin. So I could leave this part on the boat and leave this shaft in the rod locker. Like I said, it shouldn't take up too much space. And when I wanted to use the fish finder up front, I can. And if I don't want to use it, don't have to worry about the wire being broken or whatever. I was just worked up over that. I didn't want to lose the cable and break it. And so this thing, basically it's 1 inch to I think it's a 2-inch T. And then I got end caps, and I just glued them in there, spray painted everything, mounted the transducer on the bottom, just like any other way of doing it, with clamps. And this wasn't very expensive either. Uh, so it's definitely something that I think other people could try if they're worried about putting the wiring up the shaft and snapping it. I know people make things like this for live scope. All kinds of videos like similar to this for live scope. Now their main thing is they want to turn it, I guess, to look around. With the transducer like this, you really don't need to worry about stuff like that. You're just straight ahead. So my only concern is, am I going to hit anything with it? What's going to happen? So it's a little nerve-wracking maybe, but I figured, what the heck, we're going to give it a shot. So at least it's the best idea. Oh, brother, at least it's the best idea I can come up with right now. So once again, I want to give a shout out to Maine Trout Whisperer, who came up with this idea. I really think that this thing, you know, it's going to be pretty solid as far as up and down, because it can't go up and down really. It might wiggle a little bit to side, but the roads in Pennsylvania here are nothing to brag about, and I'm pretty sure their reputation is well founded by anyone who's ever thought about it. And this is something that anybody could do. Like I said, these things were cheap. They weren't that expensive. So anyway, I just wanted to put a video out for an update. Hopefully this week I'm going to get out maybe for the last time, because we are closer to the middle of, or the 2/3 way through of October, and I'm hoping to get out one more time or so before I have to put the boat away. So if I do, we're going to calibrate this sucker and hopefully use it, and I'll get some video of that. All right, thanks for watching.